the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. And the songs of all my great grandmothers, and the dreams of all my great grandfathers, and the way to rise beyond the pain. All live, all live, all live in me. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. And the smile of all the unborn children, and the dreams of a better day to come, and the dance of heaven with the earth. All live, all live, all live in me. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. Take it up. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. Been robbed, disgraced, abused, and displaced. Been robbed, disgraced, abused, and displaced. Been lied to, but lies can be seen through in the land. You can't fall from grace in the land. You cannot be heard in the land. There's more than enough in the land. You're always at home, always at home, always at always at home. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. And the song of all my great grandfathers, and the dreams of all my great grandfathers, and the way to rise beyond the pain. All live, all live, all live in me. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am, all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. In the land of I am more than I have been. I am more than I will be. I am all that I am. Thank you. Thank God.
I just want to acknowledge that the theme for this month is appreciation. It seemed good for us on one of the final months of us being here. We move on September 1st. We actually have the building until September, the end of September, but we'll have a month of moving. So, hello, family. Who has a truck? There'll be plenty of time to connect over boxes. Yeah, remember the old days? Woo, baby. When all you had is a bed and a futon, and you just had your friends come over and you handed them a pizza and called it good. Anyway, that was a time. Anyway, this is a time, it seemed good for us in these last few months to have a month set aside for appreciation, because there's always a time to appreciate. Actually, there's a time to do all these things, but like a lot of religions, they set aside certain times so that you can get into the feeling of it, the spirit of it, and hopefully let that carry over into other things. So this is a time for me to appreciate this place, what's happened to me being here. I want to appreciate watching people grow and change. I want to appreciate that I am watching children graduate from high school and college that I knew as babies, and I don't know what happened to them. How did they get that old? I mean, what happened? It's good for us to appreciate this sound system and this place, because how we leave a place is what we will take into the new place. So as we appreciate this, we are going to create for ourselves a place that we will appreciate even more, because that's the way the law works. Now, the Mountaineers is a temporary place which gives us lots of time to not be needy or desperate, so that we can continue to see what we want to invest our money into. And we continue to look. But I love having cushion. It's like, it's easier to manifest what you want when you're not desperate. And so I'm very grateful that it is unfolded this way. But I want to appreciate this time and this in-between time, because there's so much potency, so much power in an in-between time. How many of you are in between something? Let's bless it, because it's powerful. It really is. So let me tell you what appreciation means, at least according to Webster. According to Webster, appreciation means to recognize worth, to understand fully. Can I talk to Webster? How many of you have ever understood anybody fully? How many of you ever felt fully understood? Who even understands themselves? Anyway, that's what it says. Now, we can appreciate a similar experience, but we're not understand fully, I don't get it. But then, let's go to the next one, which is to be thankful for and approval. But I love the first one, to recognize worth. The more we appreciate ourselves, the more it will increase our self-worth. The more we appreciate others, the more that we give them the opportunity to know greater self-worth. And that's another thing that's an epidemic in our society right now, is low self-esteem and low self-worth. Maybe we should just appreciate like crazy. See, love takes many forms. How many of you have loved something but you've never, or someone, but you've never told them how much you appreciate them? It's Father's Day. I saw a comedian on TV, I don't know, last week, maybe Thursday or Friday. I forgot his name, but he was really funny. I got to find him. He's good. And he said, fathers don't want anything. They just want you to notice that you've been a good father. Appreciation. But instead, you don't tell us anything. You just go to the mall and buy us something. We don't want that sweater. How many fathers yeah. Basically, it's nice, but the gift is a way to share appreciation. But what if you really just said, I appreciate you did this, and you did this, and you did this, and you did this? You acknowledge how blessed you have been because of their contribution. And if they're not alive anymore, that's okay, because they're just in another lane. Now, I would say they're here, but they're not here. They're having a good time someplace. But they do take the call. So, which leads me to a good time to talk about fathers and to be thankful for the fathers that we have in this room and the fathers we all have. So how many of you are fathers? Would you stand up so we can just acknowledge you? Would all the fathers stand up? Job well done. No matter what you did, job well done. Because you signed up to be a father. And how many of you that are fathers know you weren't perfect? How many of you have fathers? How many of you know they weren't perfect? In fact, actually, the verse that was going through my head earlier was, we have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So it's like what humans do. We move into our magnificence. And in the meantime, we have habits that we need to outgrow. And I want to talk about appreciation, because appreciation will help us move into a habit and a way of thinking and a way of being that will be more heavenly than other ways of thinking and being. I'm not sure about, many of the holy books. The purpose of many of the holy books were for us to experience heaven now. We just misinterpreted them. And one of the ways is to appreciate, that we move into a heavenly experience. But here's the deal. Sometimes we weren't the best of children. How many of you know that you could have been a better child? Rickie talks about what has inspired her music, and I'm going to share a poem with you in a minute. And it was inspired by my unskilled behavior that came out of therapy. And so I went through some therapy, and I sort of woke up. I was young, and I woke up to some of my characteristics, and I saw that I had inherited them from my mother. Now, that could have been enlightening and a good thing, except I decided to share them with my mother. So we were both very uncomfortable for about a year. And so this poem kind of emerged because I don't know what made me think that telling my mother that she could have been a better mother would make her a better mother. So, inspired by Kahlil Gibran, who talked about children, I decided to write something about parents. I usually share this, I always share this once a year, either on Mother's Day or Father's Day, and it's Father's Day, so here we go. Your parents are not your parents. They are channels through which life recreates itself. You come through them, but not from them. And though they may be still with you, you do not belong to them. You may receive their love, but not their thoughts, for their thoughts are from their time. New thoughts must be generated within you now for this time and this place. For life does not go backwards, nor does it get trapped in yesterday. You are the product of generations upon generations of humankind longing to give their children a better life than they had. You have done nothing by yourself, even if it may have seemed so. For the prayers and petitions of millions of mothers crying out into the infinite to bless and protect their children have been heaped upon you. And the pride and the faith of millions of fathers in their offspring continues to inspire you at a deep cellular level. Don't let their prayers and their faith be in vain. Receive with humble acceptance the blessing of the ancients. and then be sure to pass it on. Our parents. And if I am going to talk of parents, I must speak of that infinite source that is our original source. When Jesus said the Father within, talked about the Father within, the word could have also been translated as source, the source within, where we come from, where we're coming from. And I've spent much of this year looking into the Bible in a different way, with a much more metaphysical, global view that doesn't bless a narrow tribe, but instead blesses all of humanity if we'll just understand it. And so there is a source of life within me, and a source of life within you, and it desires to work through us. And then I thought about, I was actually taking two creation stories together, the Genesis and the first chapter of John, the Gospel of John. And in Genesis it said, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and they were without form. So there was a substance that was going to become earth, what was going to become matter, and then there was the intelligence and the consciousness that would work upon it to create matter and form. But in the beginning is always, it's never time. When the Jewish people wrote in the beginning, they did not mean time, it meant causation. In causation, what causes things to happen is God. There is no out there sometime. It's not about then, it's about now, because God is always in the beginning, always recreating itself through us, that source of all life. And then I went to John. I love it when I just take notes. Okay, what do you want me to talk about? And then I go back to John, and it says, in the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was made flesh. Well, word is the English word for logos. I always thought it meant word. And if you look up in some dictionaries, it means word. But if you get a Greek dictionary, this is cool. If you get a Greek dictionary, word means plan or meaning. In the beginning, there was a plan, and the plan took form. In the beginning, there was a meaning, and the meaning took form. And this story is not about Jesus or Adam and Eve, it's us. We cannot separate ourselves from the mythical story of creation. We're it. Tag. You're it. And so in this beginning time, which is any time we want to go back to the beginning, there is a meaning, a plan that wants to be discovered and made flesh and expressed through you and through me, and it'll always be different. I'm going to have Rickie sing a song in a moment, and I couldn't find it. YouTube, I actually wanted to download it. I pay for stuff, but I just couldn't find the song because I didn't know it was called Genesis. I kept saying, in the beginning. They'd say, nothing. In the beginning. But this was powerful because in the classes I've been teaching, what I'm coming to realize is that we don't understand that we must identify with something before incarnation. And before incarnation, we signed up to be an expression, a word, a plan, a meaning. And then we clothed ourselves and put ourselves in a situation so that that plan, that meaning could best be expressed. Wouldn't it be wonderful to know there is a plan and that you're on track? Rickie was saying, I loved it. The concert was wonderful. She had these stories behind the songs. Well, I've had maybe 10 truly mystical experiences. 3 were on drugs. And I was in a country where it was legal. Nah, 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 nah. So for those of you that are thinking, But one of them it was all, you never know what's going to trigger you. And what was triggered me for this one mystical experience was watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. True Truly, truly. I was watching it, and I was like, whoa. And then to myself, I said, I know that I could have set it up any way I wanted to. I know that I had volition before I incarnated. I know that there is something about me that would choose my circumstances. Now, you don't have to believe that, but that's what I believe. But if we have free choice, when did we get free choice? When did free choice start? When did your life start? When did your meaning start? When did you start? I started before I was born. And that's why we're all so unique, because we had a head start. And so I'm watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and I said to myself, my goodness, why did I choose to be born to poor people who could not buy me shoes to walk in? And they got all this. And then I sort of left it. I know it was a Saturday because I then went upstairs to work on my talk. So I went from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous to Getting Holy. And something happened. And what happened was I had a near-life experience because I saw my whole life. I saw why I picked my parents. I saw that everything was on schedule. I saw that I planned to live in this place. I planned to have these things to overcome. I planned it so that I could be who I was meant to be. And then I saw my future. And then it all closed. And all I was left with was, there's a plan, I have a meaning, and I'm on target. I don't see my future anymore. But whenever I wonder why me, I remember that experience. All that's left is that experience, that there's something greater happening through me. And if I know that about you, I know that about you. You know, why couldn't I get love right for so long? Why am I? It's all for good. So, with that in mind, listen to this song.
I was walking asleep, dreaming I was awake. This world confused me and led me astray. Yes, it led me astray. What could I be to please my mother? What could I do to bring peace to my father? I was spinning around till I finally found that part of me that was always free. Now I'm here for my God to reveal what was said in the beginning. Oh, yes, I am. I am here for my God.
Your eyes. And allow the Holy Spirit, that inner teacher, that inner nurturer, to move you back. Move back. Let yourself go back into this thing that we have called time. There is no time, but let yourself feel safer by thinking there is time, and move back. Move back before incarnation. Move back when you were one with the One and you knew you were one with the One. And remember that vibration that you chose to incarnate with. It's a word, it's a logos, it's a vibration, it's a quality. It's that part of the divine that you said, I will make manifest on earth. I will be this on earth. And to remember that is to gain its power once again. To remember that quality is to be remembered, put back together into your own wholeness. What is it? Move into that beginning, because the beginning is always happening. Right here, right now. And when you know the word that you chose to incarnate as you know the vibration, if you know that, if you can let yourself hear that, what would that be? What is the word of God you chose? The qualities of the divine. I bless that. I bless that quality. I bless that word. I bless it and give thanks and appreciate it that that word became flesh and is showing up as you. And I give thanks that in that word is all power. In that word is all blessing. In that word is all goodness. To reveal that expression, to reveal what only you can reveal in the world. With that is great power, great blessing, great prosperity, great love, great expression, infinite fulfillment, deep satisfaction. We have chased for things, and what we're called to do is express that word, that plan, that meaning. Know that now. Let it be revealed. And in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us as Sherry, as Joy, as Dennis, as Mike, as Harold, as Gary. It sang as Rickie. It inspired as each and every one of you. It loves. It learns. It becomes. I just want to close by sharing a few words about appreciation, because I think the world needs more of it. I think sometimes we don't appreciate because we're busy comparing. Like I compared myself to people who were born rich and famous. I think we also don't appreciate because we have a habit. There's a habit of complaining. Complaining is a human quality that God gave us run amok. And the quality that God gave humankind was the ability to solve problems. That is how we survived as a species and how we came to be one of the top species, because we can solve problems. The ravens at my house can solve problems too, but I can solve them better, I think, so far. So far, Kathianne 2, ravens none, but who knows? But the problem with problem solving is that we then become problem finders. So we find problems so that we can solve problems, but instead of solving the problem that we found, we don't do anything about it. We just talk about the problem with other people, which is complaining. And complaining is a habit. It never solves anything or helps anyone. So it's good to look at something and be about its solution. But it can only be about its solution by telling the truth to the people who can cooperate in that solution. Otherwise, complaining just becomes the muck that we live in together. It's mental pollution instead of solution. So I think that's why, I talk about this all the time, but it came from Emma Curtis Hopkins. She said there is only one don't in metaphysics, and it is, if you go on a retreat with me, it's, if you go on a workshop, a class, just stop it. It doesn't do any good. If it did good, then I'd say keep it up. So if we're not complaining or comparing, then we start to do the only thing that will really help anything, and that is to praise stuff. And praise raises appreciation. And praise is one of the fastest ways to elevate your consciousness so that you see the good that's already happening. See, it's like just turning the dial. We're the same things happening all the time, but we can look at it through a complaining dial or an appreciation dial. We're the ones that create the background noise. And praise allows us to elevate things and see them in a totally different way. And it changes the world. It said that humankind was created just a tiny bit lower than the angels, but the angels are always praising God. Maybe if we praise God, we'd win. We'd get over the angels because they're always praising, but what are we doing? Don't answer that. And I don't mean you, I meant us as a society. So I tried this praising thing. I got to spend the week being a ranchette manager, which meant doing things that, every day that's okay, but it's not my joy. But, and it was shitty. Literally shitty. 3 horses, literally. But what I did was I just started to praise things. It was raining. I didn't want it to rain. I praised the rain. We don't have to water. I'd praise this. I'd praise that. I'd praise this. I'd praise that. I was praising. I was getting higher and higher. The strangest thing happened. Little critters followed me around. I have 3 little bunnies, and they would follow me. And they weren't going to get I couldn't touch them, but they were from here to there. And they were just, I had bunnies, I had chickadees, land everywhere I was going, tick, 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 tick. I had ravens doing flybys, say, hello, and they actually say, hello. It's weird. The strangest things going on. It's wonderful. Praise elevates you, and then nature responds. To praise is to see what is good happening and to know that you're blessed. But you don't know you're blessed unless you're willing to say you're blessed. Unless you let that be the operating principle of your life is blessing and praise and seeing the good. I had an opportunity last week to spend some time with someone that was going to make their transition, and then I was talking to their partner. And you know what the partner said? We're so blessed. Everything's so magical. We're so blessed. All she saw was how blessed it was and how the timing was so perfect and everybody showed up at the right time. It was just such a blessed event. She could see that and feel that because that was her modus operandi. Her operating principle was to praise and see good, and so all she could see, and something that I would maybe fall apart over, was praising and seeing good. Because that's what she did. It changes us. The last thing I want to add is that appreciation, we need to appreciate ourselves. It will raise our worth. Yes, it is true. You raise your worth when you appreciate yourself. How many of you have done something and only see in your problem-solving mode how you could have done it better? Stop that. Bless it, appreciate it, and then go on and do it better. But we don't appreciate where we are. We don't appreciate what's going on. And therefore, we don't live in the moment. And that's the only time we will know the beginning, which is God. And we go back to the beginning by simply being present to what's going on and appreciating what's going on and loving what's going on. And so we appreciate ourselves so that we can then appreciate others. You know, we have a whole group of people who want to make the world a better place, and sometimes they are collecting cans of food for food banks, and sometimes we are providing presents and gifts around the Christmas or the holiday time for people who would never get a gift. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes there are people that make scarves in the winter for the homeless. There are people who build houses for people without homes or who have lost their homes. That's a way of making the world a better place. But something that all of us could do today is to share appreciation. Value someone and their value will go up. We do appreciate, but do we say it? Do we express it? Do we allow it to be said? I was really instructed, and I haven't got it yet because I still don't like it. Some lessons I just resist. But I remember Pat Wright many years ago. Pat Wright, Total Experience Gospel Choir. I remember many years ago, she was celebrating something, her birthday or anniversary. Any time's a celebration. It's another time to sing and have a concert and have a good time. And she said, I want people to appreciate me now because they're going to gather when I die and say how much they appreciated me. I want it now. Do we let that happen? And are we willing to do that for someone? Are we telling the people, are you telling your Father, whether he is in this incarnation or not, that you appreciate that he gave you life? That you appreciate that he did the best he could because he did? Are we really letting our children know that we appreciate that they would be in our family? Are we telling our spouse that we appreciate that the things they do? I so appreciate what Tim does in the barn. Are we saying it? To say that is to elevate the person you say it to. Let us lift the world today and this week by simply just telling the truth, because you do appreciate, but let it be expressed. Let appreciation be made manifest through you. And we're late, so it is.